So today is our official launch day party, so welcome everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for our launch party. So I want to go back and say I think where all of this originated was back in 2011. Charles was on the board of a company, Axion Health, that won Colorado Companies to Watch. So he got a front row seat to see what it was like to go through the journey to be selected as a finalist, then to become a winner, then to become part of the community and really see the benefits of what Colorado Companies to Watch has to offer. Through that, I think his passion grew and he then became a judge. He judged all our incoming finalists, was part of that process, then joined the board. We got to know a little bit about TrueSpace because at that time he had launched TrueSpace. Things were really ramping up for him. And through that time, I had a chance to be at a front row seat to see the passion that was behind Charles and everything that he wanted to invest in helping second stage companies grow and scale. And what I love most when I hear about TrueSpace and when I hear Charles talk is much of what he says. When he says TrueSpace, you can cut that out and replace the words with Colorado Companies to Watch, and the same message is being shared. I feel like there's so much alignment and heart between the two organizations that it just is really one of my proudest moments to be up here today launching this partnership and saying, through the intentional conversations that we've had, we're bringing this product to Colorado Companies to Watch to offer it to our applicants, to our alumni, to help our community grow. Now, over the years being part of the board, the executive committee, we've had the mission in saying, how do we not only be an awards organization, but we want to also help our community grow and scale. I think we've now accomplished that and we'll be able to say we have an unbelievable partnership that's going to help our community do that. So today I'm so excited to say Colorado Companies to Watch and TrueSpace is coming together to support the Colorado ecosystem. We couldn't have done that without the sponsors and partners that help our organization. So I want to thank JP Chase and Venture and all of our other partners who continually give us a lot of time and energy to build our community. We couldn't do it without it. So with this alignment, what I want to say is that any company that applies for Colorado Companies to Watch this year will get a complimentary membership to Colorado Companies to Watch for 1 month, providing them access to the TrueSpace program for that month. During that time, they'll get a score from completing the program, and then they'll also get to see areas of where their business could use help in improving and becoming more scale ready. So with that, I would love to turn the microphone over to Charles, so he can tell you a little bit more than what I just did about what this program is about.
Thank you all. It's great to see some faces that I've seen for years here in the Denver business building ecosystem. Something, as you know, that Jamie and I are really proud of as we founded TrueSpace 13 years ago now. But I want to do a couple things today that build a little bit on what Aaron was talking about. What is it we're doing for the second stage business builders in this state, in this country? There's 2.3 million businesses out there that are 40% of the nation's job creators, job sustainers, better places to work, better cultures. And I just want to talk a little bit about what we can do collectively to help them. So those are the things that I really would like to just take a few minutes. I have about 40 slide decks of statistics I'd like to show you today, which would be my best day, but I don't think my team told me not to prepare for that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how far we've come at TrueSpace with these longitudinal data set. We can brag a little bit today with our help from Gallup, but we own the largest and broadest data set in the United States for second stage companies, 2.3 million of them we represent. And we've been able to see these businesses now in longitudinal patterns of behavior. So you think about survey results, which is what feeds most of AI today. If you look out the window at the freeway, a survey is taking a picture of that and thinking there's a pattern someplace there when we know it's not, especially if the roads are dry today. What we have is a multi-year pattern of businesses, the behaviors that they make, the decisions that the founders get involved in, and we can see in those patterns now, especially with multi-agent help, what's the best way to apply resources. And those three resources of where to spend your time, most importantly, capital and talent. So that's what I really want to take you through today, is how do we use that data to give ourselves a voice in the second stage. Hopefully Edward Lowe would be proud of us today for the work that we're doing. Then I'm going to show you a little bit of what we can do with the data, and I'm going to give you an example, and then I think we're going to come up and hear from some people that have gone through our program. So we use this adage, you're not starting, but you're not done. I think the nation, you're the last people I would need to convince of this, is drunk on startups. I mean, everything's so leaning toward early stage, and yet the second stage are the employers. So we use this adage that you're no longer starting, but you're just definitely not done. And if I can find aspirational business builders, I'm there for them. I'll show up for that group of people. So what I really want to do is represent the size and scale of that body of business builders. These are founders. Those of you that are in the room today know what this feels like. I've done this 3 times. This is number 4. You give up a lot to get a business built. It looks like it's fun. It looks like it's sexy. It looks like there's all kinds of great things going on until you drive home at night and go, how do I make payroll? How do I take care of that customer? How am I going to actually get to the next month? And there's 2.3 million of us that are actually trying to figure that out. And yet, we do figure it out. We do become employers, and that's really where this all looks at. So I think we can do this with science. So when we started TrueSpace, the one thing I wanted to do was change the flow of capital. It was our primary purpose. There's trillions of dollars in the United States that can't see us. They can't find us, and they don't trust us. If we're 7, 8, 10 years old, how do you go tell that fancy story? How do you stand up with one PowerPoint when you have 7 years of longitudinal behavior and patterns of your financials? So we had to go to science, and we had to use data to basically say, we can show you people, we can show investors, and we can show talent that we're a great investment. In fact, we're a better investment than a startup, because what we've done as founders that are in our multiple years is we refined our leadership teams, we've tuned our go-to-market products and services, and we can sustain life. We know how to make it. So we're a much better investment than the bet you make on a startup. But I needed data to actually show people that, and we're at a point now where people are really starting to pay attention. So the way we did that is a little bit of science, a little bit of hard work, but we built a very big longitudinal data set that can look at the feedback systems inside your company. I can see those feedback systems with data that you give me. I can now use your financial information, your cap table, your cash flow statements, and in seconds I can give you a score that tells you how capable you are of using those 12 systems. That's how far we've come in the last 13 years. And I have to tell you, the advent of AI has just pushed us forward. We were using machine learning in 2017 with Gallup and thought we were so cool. We look back at those models now and they look like cartoons. I mean, it would take a week to do some of the work that we're now doing in 3 to 5 seconds. So the data is valuable for us mostly because it's not only longitudinal, but we can put it across the entire company. So I can see your business through these systems. The corollary we use is the same thing the healthcare industry had done hundreds of years ago. The human body is so complex. So the question I'm getting to is, how can I see those 12 systems in your business? We have the human body. We're trying to say, how in the world are we going to build a system to support health in the human body? This is around 1910, before World War I. And somebody in their infinite wisdom, which I haven't even been able to find with ChatGPT, said, let's break it into systems. Let's break the human body into something we can do 3 things with. We can learn about it, we can diagnose it, and we can treat it. That's why we have cardiovascular pulmonary specialists. That's why we have people that are actually focused just on the lymphatic system. Your business is the same. We identified in our research 1,400 systems. And through factor analysis, we were able to basically bring this back to 12 systems, and it looks just like the human body does. These are the 12 systems that I can show you today with data, whether you're capable of using those systems to predictably grow your business. You're going to hear from a couple of our business builders today that have been using this framework now for years. And I can tell you when you create the capability in the 12 systems, some fundamental things happen in your business that are mostly positive. So with the advent of AI, this was something we used to have to do manually. We used to have to take your financials, we'd impute them into our system, we'd look at the trends and patterns over the last 12 months, and we'd relay that against the 12 systems in this capability. So what we want to be able to see is the 12 systems expand, your capability within them, and of course the financial results change. So I can now take financial results, the psychometrically engineered tool that we have, which is an assessment. I can take your cap table, I can take how many years you've been in business, where you're spending your time, which is one of the most important determinants, and I can basically score where you are in your capability growing. And when that score improves, you can put that in front of other people, including capital, including talent, including anybody that's looking at the value of your business. So imagine where we would be today if we had this capability in the state of Colorado. We had a number of companies through CCTW, and we could compare ourselves against the rest of the United States. It's a dream I have that's about to come true. So what we get is a score. The score is between 0 and 100 today, but it's non-linear. So what you see in this scoring system is all of that capability across the 12 systems that I showed you, and it puts you into a pattern. Non-linear based, there's a number that's pretty important here called 53. Gallup came up with that, not me. Like, where did you get 53? I mean, I wish I was 53. But anyway, where did you get the 53 number? And what we were able to cut off is the 80-20 rule statistically. 80% of the companies that we score fall less than 53 in the composite scoring. It means that you're probably not scaling yet, or you're having a lot of difficulty in unit economic repetition in your business, but that's okay. We've got a whole program that can help you figure that out. The promised land is between 53 and 62. We call that remodeling. It's no different than taking a wall out in your kitchen, putting a new capability in your business. That's where we want to get all the companies at CCTW that basically come through the program. There's 3% that get above that. We call it the benchmark. It's basically 63 and above. And when you're in that scoring range, you're in the top 3% of 2.3 million businesses statistically. We have a number of companies that have been at TrueSpace that are in that space. 9 out of 10 of those companies that get there find the capital they were looking for or the talent they were looking for. So that's what we're trying to do here. And it's a march that I think we can sustain. This is the picture of the business and its capability. I talked about those 12 systems. Remember those 12 systems? If you look at this is a clock, at 12 o'clock is the direction, that's the first system. They go in order of priority around that clock, and you can see the capability within each system. And it gives you a picture. The purple then is the composite of your business with your scoring, your financials, plus your executive team. That's what basically tells you. The delta between the purple and the dotted line is what we want to work on. You can't work on everything. Our AI agent is named Trudy. You'll get to know Trudy really well. It's a play on our name. It's the whole thing. She's a fish. I'll get to that later. All right, so my team's cringing right now. It's a whole thing. I can just tell you. The idea is to get you past that dotted line, which is that threshold. And it's basically the space between the purple, the light blue, and the white. That's what we're going to be able to score to be able to do that in a pretty consistent pattern. So I'm going to spend 2 seconds on one of the statistical determinants that I thought was important to you all as business builders, founders, and people that support us. And that is where you spend your time as a founder in a second stage business is the strongest determinant of whether your business is going to grow or not. And I now have a data set across thousands of founders and where they spend their time. So this is a picture here of a company that's left of the score of 43. They're in what we call emerging. In many cases, they're stuck. And if you look at the top end of that, they're spending 50, 60, sometimes all of their time selling and building, doing. That's what founders are doing. And I can now see it with discrete data across where you're spending a single hour right now, or across the week, or month, or quarter. So this is what we call emerging. This is the pattern of a company that's now made it into the remodeling stage. And the determinant is striking when it comes to math. Because if you just spent 2 hours in a different format per week, it's 100 hours per year. So this format is 20% of your time. The average entrepreneur in TrueSpace works 62 hours a week across our entire group of companies. They spend very little time in vacation. They miss a lot of things. But what if you started shifting your time, and what would inform you to do so? What would compel you as an entrepreneur today to change what you're doing? Most of the discussions I get with entrepreneurs that are in this stage here is they can't get out of it. Charles, I can't stop selling because I'm the only one that can sell. I don't trust anybody else to sell. I'm the only person writing software today that really understands our product, our service. This is a company that's starting to build a team, and that's Kellett's benchmark business. To be at this pattern, you finally reached about 30 million in revenues. You've been growing on average 25% year over year. Actually, that's the threshold, so everything's above that. And our entire framework, all the data that I showed you today, is to move people from the left to the right. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a serious bullshit sensitive meter when people tell me what to do and what I should be doing, where I should be spending my time. But I do trust data. I have the data. I can show you where to start spending your time in a different way now with data, and that's really what we're trying to do. So lastly, before I just give you a quick case study, this is what I'd like to be able to see the CCTW companies in. This is a matrix, it's a cartoon of our data set. On the bottom is the 5CA scoring that I just showed you. You can see the emerging remodeling and benchmark. On the left is your financial performance during that period of time. So businesses that are in the lower left-hand corner have that purple shaded use of time. They've been struggling mightily. They're working, by the way, 62 hours or more per week. They just can't get the performance in their business. They can't find a way to capture a customer effectively, efficiently, and they can't keep the ones they have. In the exhausted frame, we have people that are working 75 to 86 hours a week. Basically, they're just doubling down. They just read the book Grit. I'm going to grit this out. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to outwork my competition. They get a few financial quarters that look okay, but there's no way they can sustain that. I've been there before. So, and then in the frustrated stage, these are people that have all kinds of talent. They might have raised a new round of financing and they can't get financial performance to save their life, and they're frustrated. Where I want to get all of the CCTW companies is in that upper right-hand quadrant. You've got great capability and you see the financial results and you can prove it to people. It's not just your information anymore. You can take this data to the people that you need to convince that you're a really, really good company and a good investment and a good place to work. So, real quickly, this is a company called MovementX. It's one of our case studies. I pulled them up because they've been with us for 6 years. They joined us during COVID. A few of you, by the way, here I met during COVID. John, it's a great time. You look great in a face mask, by the way, so you can kind of pull it off. So the reason I bring them up is that I have this really long longitude. That's right, it looks pretty good, Matt. So MovementX came to us out of an accelerator out of the Maryland area, and all four of them are doctors of physical therapy. Millennials, great-looking people, fit, and they came up with a business model where they were going to build a SaaS product that connects physical therapy capabilities to mostly sports athletes, people that are not on the payer system, not trying to get back to work, but trying to become better and move better. When they came to us the first time, many of you might get this, they're sports CEOs. It's a quad CEO, not co-CEOs. And they're convinced that they all can lead the business effectively together. Of course, all of our data says just the opposite of that, but that's where they started with us. And when they took the assessment when we started the first time, this was our early version of the assessment, pre-AI that we have. This is the picture that I was actually showing you earlier. They were only at 250,000 in revenue. They just basically brought their product to market. They had a few employees, I think 3 of them were 1099s, and their team was all over the place. You can see the individual scores of the 4 of them, which means they all saw the capability of the business in a different format. Statistically, when you have that level of misalignment, you cannot move. You cancel each other out as you're making decisions in the business. So something had to change, and they started basically our program. This is just a screenshot of the program that's going to be available now to CCTW members. It's agentic. It comes in and it looks at your data. It looks at your capability. And it starts basically helping you isolate where you should be spending your time, what your priorities are. It's its most important job. Not trying to basically train you. I don't think you need training. I think you need direction that's data-based. So that's where we start. This is basically Trudy in action. She'll look a little better when she's a fish icon. I'm not going to go any further with that one, but she basically will direct you all based on what you've been building, your capability, your team. All those things are there, and she's starting to change where and how you spend your time. That's where we start seeing the transformation of the business. This is their pattern. I don't have 2025 in there. That's 2025. They're on track to do 12 million in annualized recurring revenue. But what's important is you see the composite score increase, but you see the shape of the business and its capability with data changing right before your very eyes. You see the alignment of the team changing. Josh D'Angelo became their CEO. They got into our structure, which we call capture, keep, compete, control. And in year 4, they raised $3 million on a $50 million valuation because they could prove that they can continue this performance. They're bringing in and connecting physical therapists with patients now at a predictable rate. And it's a pretty fun story. We've got a bunch of these stories. Sean Mouse, by the way, is here with us today as well. So what did we change with Josh? This is my final thing to really look at, is in year 1, that's where he spent his time. That was the pattern and the signature of where he spent his time. And at that time, he was convinced, by the way, that he couldn't do anything different. I still remember him saying, Charles, I'm a doctor. He smells that sorry. Jim, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I know what I'm doing here. But that's where they were stuck. They couldn't change. But you could see the fundamental difference of where he's spending his time today and the way this business is formed. The last thing then, this is my last slide. What do you take to other people to show them that you're building this great business? Where I started this presentation is, what can we do to get people to pay attention to us? We're not startups anymore. We're not starting and you're not done. What math can we show them? What can we show ourselves? What can we show our team? What can we show the community of Colorado? So this is the pattern of that company as they went from the lower left-hand corner to the upper right. And I think this is possible now with the program and the relationship we have with CCTW to get this level of visibility for every company that participates in CCTW. So anyway, thank you for tolerating this. This is the shortest presentation on this data set that I've ever made. Mike will attest to that.
We're training him well.
Dr. Davis is going to come up. I want to give him a little bit of an introduction. Is that okay? Can I talk around you a little bit? We've known Michael Beavis since we did our first presentation out at the Gallup organization with our data set. And he flew out on his own dime from Denver to be there to support us. This was back on February 20th of 2020, 2 weeks before we shut the entire place down. But he's been that person for us. He's built one of the largest post-startup incubators in the country. He continues to run that network for us. But he joined TrueSpace on our team here in August, and we've been blessed to have him. So, but he's been the one pushing me to shorten this damn thing up. So I better get off stage now. So Michael, welcome.
As we're kind of setting up the stage here for a panel discussion, I'll just give you a little bit more background on myself on why I drew the short straw to be up here hosting the panel today. But for those of you who don't know me, I know a good portion of you in the room. Up until a few months ago, I was the head of innovation and entrepreneurship for the city of Denver. So I used to say it was my job to create the ecosystem to allow entrepreneurs to thrive, connecting them to programming, resources, mentorship, access to capital, whatever they need. I got them plugged into those resources, and if they didn't exist, then I created them. So I raised about $70 million over the span of about 8 years in the city of Denver, outside of city dollars, to build out that programming and those resources. And the program Charles mentioned was called the Denver Scale-Up Network. Some of you in this room have been in that program in the past. Some of you are currently in that program. And we had a lot of success with that program. I've been coaching and mentoring businesses for the better part of 20 years, even though I'm only 34 years old. And I've also sat on the board of Colorado Companies to Watch for a little over 5 years, I think that my time frame was there. And a big chunk of my companies that came to the Scale Up program were perfect fits and candidates to be in this space. So I'm very familiar with both organizations. As Charles mentioned, we've been friends and connections for quite some time now, and we share the same passion to help this segment of businesses that are traditionally overlooked, especially in the capital resources department, and we're here to change the lens of that. So I'm excited today because we have some great panelists up here, and you're going to get to hear their story. And our panelists have both participated in TrueSpace and both been winners of Colorado Companies to Watch. So you're going to hear it from both perspectives. So Betsy and Sean, and Aaron and Charles, do you guys want to come up and join me? All right, we're gonna just kick things off, and I'm gonna let each of you kind of introduce yourselves because you're gonna do a much better job, and this is an opportunity for you to brag a little bit. That's what CCTW is about, right? We're here to brag about ourselves and highlight the work that you're doing. And Sean, you and I share a little bit of background from an education standpoint in organizational management. So tell us a little bit about your business and what your journey's been like so far.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's a roller coaster. As any entrepreneur is going to say, you're going to have your good days and your bad days. I think when I first started, there was always something on LinkedIn when they had the stick figures, where on day one, the stick figures go arms in the air, and then day two, you're in the fetal position. I've experienced that, and so Colorado native, born and raised, and went to school at Colorado State, got a business and organizational management degree, and I got right into the telecom space right away. And going from the telecom space into what they call the gray market, which is basically trading material, electronics, and e-waste and stuff like that between carriers and customers. About 2018, right before COVID hit, we saw a niche in the market where there was more material not being reused as opposed to just being recycled. So we decided to open up the Recycle Global Exchange software. I didn't know a lick about software. I just knew that there was a way to automate things because working with big companies, they're used to using emails and spreadsheets and working with one or two vendors across the US to get their stuff moved around and disposed of. So my partner and I got into that real quickly. COVID hit. Even though it was a bad time for the country, it was a great time for us because we were developing software and you just locked people in the room and plugged away. So by 2020, 2021, we went to market with an MVP, and the goal was to go right after the big guys, the ones that were using spreadsheets and emails to try and get their things done. By 2022, we actually started getting our first revenue. We were proud of that. I think we finished the year around 300,000. And we started with an incubator. We joined Innosphere out of Fort Collins and started with them. And they got me into the state of Colorado OED program. And we won a grant through there with our offering. So what is it that we do? We're a software marketplace. We connect large enterprises with local options for certified disposal of electronics and materials. And the goal is, you hear a lot about the word circularity and disposal. So we're trying to do three things. We're trying to do better for any business, because any time you have a conversation, it's going to be about the bottom line, ROI. So we're trying to do better for ROI. We're trying to do better for the local communities and present people that are right here or right there that can help you with disposal as opposed to shipping it out of state. And then, of course, do better for the environment. If you can reduce the CO2 emissions and promote local solutions, it's a win-win for everybody. So that's kind of about what RGX is doing. I got the chance to meet with Charles through a coach that I have on the team. He's our fractional CFO, and got us into TrueSpace because I was dealing with the startup hangover, as I like to call it. Like, yeah, we got past the actual revenue. Still haven't paid myself in a couple of years, but I don't know if it was 62 hours. I feel like it was about 90 hours a week. But again, it's a great experience, and I'll compare it to when I got married. You do all the planning and everything's like that, and then the wedding comes and it's like 4 or 5 hours, and that was the greatest party you've thrown for everybody else, but it's almost a blur, even though you spent like 6 months of planning it, right? Starting a business is kind of like that. You got to enjoy the ride, even though you're gonna have your hard days and your good days. But I've learned a lot. being in the TrueSpace program, still growing. I mean, I don't know if I'm in the right quarter yet, because I'm still exhausted and frustrated, but I know that we're moving in the right direction.
That's great, thanks, John. And Betsy, I was going to do a little background on you and looking, you're kind of a badass. Yeah.
No kind of about it there, sunshine.
Nothing's going to get in your way. You're going to get it done. Tell us about you.
Congratulations on joining TrueSpace. We're lucky to have you. You're a good name. So is this man sitting next to me. So Betsy Craig, CEO and co-founder of Menu Trimbo. Menu Trimbo stands for Menu Nutrition Information. We are the buzzkill company that puts calories on menus that makes you think twice. Before you order it, and before you have all that salt in the appetizer that equals 3 days worth of salt. Menu Trimbo began twofold. Number one is I got sick in 2005 and was given 12 to 18 months to live. They were wrong, I'm still sick, but I don't look it. And when I went to the couch with scleroderma and tried not to die, I made a commitment to some spirit, said if you get me off this couch, I'm gonna do something, and I'm doing it. And from 2005 to 2010, went about getting my health back on board with my amazing partner, my husband. And then somebody sent me a message on Facebook that said menu labeling is coming for restaurants. Rocky should build it. Rocky's here today. You should sell it. And that's how Menu Trimbo was born. And in that first year, we realized that allergens, food allergens, anybody have anybody with food allergens you love? You're my people. You're my people, totally. He said we can tag allergens and make a difference. And I was like, let's figure what this is about. Because I'm one of those CEO founders who could sell water to a drowning man. Yeah. And he'll get him to buy it twice, you know. And I'm like, I can sell it. And we started Menu Trimbo. Our first sale was back in 2011, but I didn't pay myself probably till 2015. I also went through Innosphere, Mike Freeman and his crew up there, and it was a lot of scrappy period of time. What I want to tell you is by 2020, I met Charles. He was speaking at a Fort Collins event, the beginning of February 2020, and we sat in the room and listened to his slides, which I could listen to him forever. But I looked at that and I thought, that sounds really interesting. And I'm a CEO and founder who doesn't have a business degree or any of that, so it's all by the seat of my pants. I mean, I'm a PTA mom. I was vice president of my kids' PTA. That's as far as I went to leading people. And my husband said, there's science behind this. Maybe we need to check it out. And we signed up with Charles and I went through the cohort and I started the TrueSpace stuff. And I realized just how horrific I was at that point, just how off the shelf, just whack-a-doodle-doo. But I had grit, but grit would only get me just so far because I'm a person who also has to take care of myself, like it or not, because of my health. So I spend a lot of time taking good care of myself. Through the program, which I know we're going to talk about, I like to say I'm obedient. Like I am feisty as the day is long, but if you tell me try this and this and this, I will follow. And so I did it, and I am reaping the benefits of that today. Today we put allergy tagging on products in grocery stores. I stepped outside to do a call with Walmart, a small little company you might have heard of. Like, how does that happen? How do I go from that? I'll tell you how I go from that. I follow the blueprint this man put down with Jamie and her team and all of you, and I watch it unfold, and I just stay unstoppable. So here I am. Thanks for having me.
Great, thanks for being here. And speaking to the obedience piece, you were also the winner of the Builder Discipline Award from TrueSpace in 2020.
Which is so funny if you know me, but yes.
So, and I want the crowd to know too that Betsy was kind enough with her time to stay behind because she was supposed to fly out yesterday or early this morning. That's how passionate she is about both these organizations. So thank you for being here on that. So Sean, let's go back to you and tell us a little bit about your journey with the Colorado Companies to Watch Award. Talk to us a little bit about how that shifted for you for the business. So how your internal team recognized that, board of directors, how your customers responded to that. How did you leverage that to capitalize on all that awareness?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're called Recycle Global Exchange, and yet I'm not global yet. So we are predominantly in the US, but my whole thing was I'd be a hypocrite if I'm saying I'm trying to help the local communities, but I'm not participating in giving back in local communities. So we applied for the CCTW, and we were fortunate enough to win 2024. And our goal is to actually still work with the companies that are coming in, and how can we help them out? Like I was in a recent event, and there's nonprofits, right? How can they raise more funds? Well, let's throw electronic waste recycling in it, and all the funds that come out of that can help fund some of your initiatives that are going on. So it's really it's the power of the people right here. Like what we're doing right now is getting together and brainstorming, and then good things come out of it. The blueprint is a really good thing to follow. I'm a stubborn person, but I've learned over my last 6 years of being an entrepreneur that humility is the best way to do business, and then discipline on that. So I am trying to get more involved with CCTW, but it is managing the time, just like you were saying. And we're also involved in some other organizations globally as well as we start to expand. But making the time for the things that matter, whether it's personal or business, outside of just selling and running the numbers, are important.
Great, thanks. Betsy, how about for you?
So for me, I didn't know the impact of the CCTW award, which we won in 2023, how it would filter out within the business. At that point, during COVID, we had a lot of things shut down. We still had our office in Fort Collins, but I was working mostly remotely. And to be quite frank, the award got us a megaphone. I mean, that would probably be my best way to describe it. Because, and I wrote this, forgive me for looking at my notes. I sometimes do better if I read what I wrote. I wrote.
That's okay, Betsy. Badasses can read off.
We're allowed. Well, we remember to bring our phone, they can find it. Those are the 2 wins. But I wrote, TrueSpace provided the microscope to identify internal friction and the roadmap to fix it. Like that's where I got the roadmap idea. While CCTW provided the megaphone to validate the improvements to the outside world. Like, I knew what we were doing, but I didn't have a way to blast it. And I finally had such stability in what we were doing, predictable, discipline, like all that stuff, that I knew I could blast it, and no matter what came our way, we could benefit from it and share it with our team and save lives. That's what we do.
Great, thank you. Erin, anything you want to add to that? Because we have to pass the microphones.
Yeah, that's a great story to share, which I can say just from my experience with companies to watch. There's been time and time again that we've had winners that say the megaphone that they hear. One company that shared during COVID, he had won the award before COVID, then he wanted to sell his company, but he claims the award from Companies to Watch, the amplification where a German company came in and acquired it, and he specifically said that wouldn't have happened had I not gotten the recognition. So there's been instances where people have been invited on trade travel trips. The list goes on and on. So I think that megaphone is very, very accurate.
Great, thanks. And then Sean, we'll go back to you. Tell us a little bit then about your journey with TrueSpace and how that's kind of shifted your perspective on how you're running the business, where you're taking the business. Just give us some good nuggets about what you're taking away from your TrueSpace experience so far.
It's hard, but it works. I mean, it's the 5 conditions. You have to be disciplined. You have to say, I'm going to commit to this and do it. And you get pulled in many directions when you're trying to build a company. So taking the time, it's almost like going to school while you're actually working a job, right? And I've been focused. I've had to like recheck myself sometimes because I'm running the right direction, think it's the right way, but I've wasted so many time cycles and I don't have the right talent in the right place. And I gotta grit down, I gotta do more. And the reality, it's almost like golf, I think. I'm a sports guy. Well, if I just swing harder, I'm gonna hit the ball farther. That's not how it works. So I've actually used that metaphor to help me kind of get through things. TrueSpace is a great benefit for us, and I'm trying to embrace it even more. I'm not through it, but it's a journey because you can always go back to it and learn more. And I think that's one thing is that you go through it, like, okay, these are my answers. Okay, next chapter. And then 6 months later, like, I gotta go back to here because our premise changed, or what's our value? Why do we exist? The discipline. I mean, there's so many things that you're constantly refining, and that's how a business works. You're always refining. If If you're not taking the input though, you're never gonna change. So,
That's great. And just so most people know, so the average TrueSpace customer with us stays with us for a little over 3 years because they keep continuing to get value from the system in that process. Charles, anything you want to add to that?
Well, thanks for using the sports metaphor. So there is no improvement if you're not willing to do the work. I think there's no quick fix. I think everybody sort of knows that's the case. So we use sort of a metaphor of the gym membership. You come in, and wouldn't it be great to walk into a gym and have Michael do the lifting and I just get much stronger? So it's so great. And I think unfortunately there's a lot of promises that are made around programs per se, or books or things like that. And we try to move away from that at TrueSpace, but we're also trying to bring it into points where you can actually get something done. So we're not asking for wholesale change, we're asking for an hour or two a week, which you've been able to do. I'm really proud of you. So, get down with those push-ups are a little rough once in a while and get a little sore, but the good news is you see the change fast. Yeah. So you don't have to wait very long to actually see change usually in the first month. So, love you doing the work.
Great, thanks. Betsy, so tell us a little bit more about your TrueSpace journey, and if you wouldn't mind focusing on how it's maybe shifted how you spend your time in the business. I know Charles talked about shifting your time and saving time going from 62 hours a week, but you strike me as somebody, if you're not doing something 90 hours a week, you're not happy, but how have you shifted your time and focus in the business? Yeah.
Yes, good question, and yeah, I am a pretty manic human being in general. When I hit the pillow at night, I sleep very quickly because I've been going all day pretty strong. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. And that is a mantra I use because yes, I am amazing at selling, but it doesn't mean I should be the one selling. And yeah, I can build relationships like a rock star, but my team needs to build relationships like rock stars. And TrueSpace taught me how to use a different yardstick. It taught me how to use the yardstick like, does this need to be done? Does this need to be done by me? Is this going to keep me in alignment? Is this going to make me predictable? Am I going to keep growing, or is this going to pull from me? And I literally just wrapped up 3 days with my leadership team to plan out 2026 using the 5 key items we talk about and how they're going to go out and go after the next levels of stuff. I have stuff to do. I'm doing all kinds of stuff with legislation and food laws and messing with Maha DC and all kinds of insanity. And I need them to build it so that it's not all on my back because I'm not tired at the end of the day. Those days are not here for me anymore. We just had our biggest, we had a 25% growth year last year. Our ridiculous, it's so crazy considering where we were just a few short years ago. COVID shut down 64% of my clients. And because of what this man taught me with that program they put together, I was not dependent on one client, and we stayed alive through that. Not only alive, but are thriving. That's what the principles and those 5 core things, followed by the 12. I mean, what do we call them? Missions, thank you. I don't remember the words. I'm getting excited. But truthfully, I'm reaping the benefits of it.
That's great. And our average TrueSpace client sees a revenue increase of 23% year over year. So you're leading the charge on that. Thank you. And the sales, the CEO stepping out of the sales role is important. Brian, who's currently in our program, heard that this morning from a room full of advisors that needs to be somebody else's job, and hopefully guiding you through that process. So great. So Sean, talk to us a little bit about when you hear people say like awards are nice to have, but they're not operationally beneficial. And now as a Colorado company to watch winner, kind of walk us through that piece. Because there's a little bit of a time commitment to finish off the application process and get through that. You're working a gazillion hours a week and you're trying to keep the business afloat, and now you got to pause and take the time to brag about yourself a little bit, put yourself in position for that. So tell us about that piece.
Yeah, it's I think award is a great thing to have, but it actually validates the work that you're doing, right? It says, hey, I did this and I'm going to continue doing this, and I might change a little bit, but I'm at least heading down the right road. With the Colorado Company to Watch Award, it validated that we are here and there's something that we got here. The state of Colorado, the OEDIC grant got me that validation validation as well. It kept us alive. It kept us funding to keep building it. And then, it's like a building block. So the CCTW award got me to the next step. Passing through the TrueSpace and getting the emblem on there, that's another. It's like a battle of armor. It's something that you can be proud of and promote. I think he said it earlier. We target big companies. There are multiple sites that are Fortune 500, Fortune 100, and to get into those, they're going to be like, "Who are you? What are you about?" And it's really hard to do that when you're coming with a PowerPoint and a slide deck and say, "Hey, just give me a chance." The awards actually validate me and get me through the doors.
Great, thanks. Betsy, how about you?
So if somebody's saying the award doesn't give them ripples or attention, they have the wrong PR person, in my opinion. Because yes, it's a lot to go through it, to try to achieve it, and to be given it is a real honor. But then how do you carry that message and use it? How did I carry the message and use it to my advantage? I've been lucky enough to win different awards through the 16 years in business, but they are building on one another. And just like the award validates my company, TrueSpace gave me the backbone to keep the company stable and solid. I couldn't echo any stronger what Sean just said, I don't get to knock on doors and get through I can bust through a lot of doors, but they're not gonna let me stay in the room without something other than cuteness. I've gotta have some substantiation behind me. And part of what we do, it's so interesting, we do accreditation and certification for food products because they want somebody to substantiate an allergy-free claim. Well, the badges you're talking about, that's certification. That's substantiation, that I'm more than a piece of paper and a girl that can talk my way through a door. And so that's the backbone and not just the data girl, but you got this and there's a reason you want to talk to me.
Aaron, will you expand on that a little bit too, and then maybe talk a little bit about the community of the winners post-award?
Well, to kind of piggyback on that comment and saying, I think it's so easy as an entrepreneur that you come in and you grind every day and you just get up and you work and you work and you lose. As you're in that grind, you start losing time. And then 1 year goes by and 2 years go by and you're still doing the same thing. And the beautiful thing with Companies to Watch and TrueSpace is Companies to Watch makes you stop, reflect, fill out the application, and provide all this detail that kind of tells the story of what the last couple of years have been. So you can stop and reflect and go, oh, look what I have accomplished. Now with TrueSpace, now you get that picture every day. Is as you're actively working through the program, you're seeing the motivation to keep going and to keep building. And so that's what I love about these two programs coming together is that entrepreneurs lift their head and go, wow, this is amazing how I'm contributing and what I'm doing and how I've grown employees and I'm contributing to the economy and that this is really making an impact. So our community comes together in full support, again, trying to say, how do we rally around our entrepreneurs to help them through their growth stages? Because we all know it's difficult. It's hard to grow a business, and we want to be there to make sure that we can get you from this stage to the next stage with a full, with a full team supporting you. That's why so many partners come together to really surround our winners.
Great, thanks. Sean, walk us through kind of your experience with the TrueSpace framework. What it's done for you as the leader of your organization, building confidence, helping you delegate, restructure roles, building out your leadership team.
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna go back to it's hard. A challenge is a challenge for a reason. Like, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So I don't like to back down from a challenge. That's just how I'm wired. But I didn't realize what I was signing up for until I got into it. And it wasn't the TrueSpace program. It was actually just taking it, putting it in front of me like, wow, these are the things that I'm not even realizing that I need to be doing. Because you kind of get in the culture of just get up and go and work as hard as you can. But if you're not running in the right direction, you're not going to get anywhere, right? That's the definition of insanity, trying the same thing again. What I've learned from the TrueSpace though is I kind of started with Movement X. I brought my exec team. I remember the first meeting, like, okay, we're all going to take the test because even though I'm the CEO, everybody matters here. And that was the first thing that was hard for me, realizing that I got to step up and actually be the CEO, even though I had a partner that's a co-founder. And him and I got stuck on number one, the hardest of the 5 conditions, which is alignment. his view of where we're going and my view of where we're going, we're like two ships not even passing in the night. So we've refined that. We've been working on that a lot. Then we get into the discipline. I think that's where we're at now, is that we put a lot of time in, we actually are aligned on where we're going, and we're disciplined and saying, these are the things that we're gonna do, this is how we're doing it. Now it's actually bringing the right talent in to say that we can delegate it, because if we're doing it, then why do we have all the other people just kind of hanging around? So learning these steps one by one, you might take a step forward and 3 steps back, but you are still moving, and you're moving with intention and understanding, as opposed to just kind of finger in the wind a little bit.
Great, thanks. Betsy, how about you?
My biggest challenge, especially in the beginning, was spending 9 months to figure out why we exist. And I remember being tortured. I used to yell at him too, because he'd be like, how can we do? And getting to why we exist, it gets really easy to make your choices and decisions as a business leader once you know why you exist completely. And that was a really hard process, but a great process. The other thing is the TrueSpace methodology, if you will, taught me what to measure, taught me how to measure, taught me what had value, taught me what didn't have value. And the final thing is, I'm relating a lot to what Sean's saying about him and his partner co-founders, because my co-founder, Rocky, we had to, and we happen to be married, we had to decide who was in charge. And I've been in charge for 16 years. And we had to decide, we're wonderful, we're super lucky, you know, but we had to decide what was going to work for the business and how to place the business first and still have a kicked up marriage as a result. And if you're in business with your family member, I have empathy, and I have a lot of hope for you, because it's been the best thing I could have ever done. But without TrueSpace, I keep going back to that, you guys can tell I'm a big fan. It gave me structure so that when Rocky and I would have a conversation and not necessarily agree, I can say, well, this is affecting our alignment, or this is affecting our stability, or this is going to value creation, which I didn't care so much about 4 years ago. I care a lot more about value creation today. I'm looking at a path out.
Charles, anything you want to add to that?
I just discovered she was in charge. I'm just so surprised. It's great. Great Rocky, that's Rocky. Raise your hand, Rocky.
How did you miss that?
We have a couple laws based on the fact that we built this program out of systems and system dynamics. And probably the most important law that's really hard to swallow as an entrepreneur is your business at any point in time is perfectly designed to produce the results that you see. So as you sit here and think about your business today, you designed it perfectly to produce those results. If you're losing $300,000 a quarter, it's designed to lose $300,000 a quarter. And so the one thing that both Sean and Betsy they were willing to take that on, to say, if I want my business to improve, something has to change in the design. And I think that's what I just really appreciate about that. Second is that this is designed for second stage companies. The rigor that we have, you can hold up that book for me, Michael.
Can I get, Peter, can you help me lift this?
We finally published all of the research. It's not for publication, you can't find it on Amazon, it's 300, almost 400 pages. We did that and we wrote it for our AI agent to get, but that's what we don't want to overwhelm people with when they come into TrueSpace. It's like, oh my God, I mean, I'm never going to get there. It's like, you've never run before and you sign up for a marathon. So we break this down into pieces that you can actually work on today. So in that adage, that you're perfectly designed to produce the results that you see today, all you have to do is just start. Get started on what the data is telling you. Don't have to change everything overnight. It might be just 1 hour a week, but just get started. And you both are recipients of doing the work and getting started and not having to be overwhelmed.
I can share drinking the Kool-Aid that for my business, I'm 3 months into the program. And it's exactly like you describe it. It's very easy where they break it down. It's just bite-sized pieces as you work your way through it. And it's exciting to see progress and go, I'm working towards a better future for my company.
That's great. Sean, what words of advice or guidance might you offer to the audience here on how they can capitalize on this opportunity Colorado companies to watch in TrueSpace today to help them grow for their businesses?
I think we all have kind of a preconceived notion of how we're going to do something and how we're going to make it successful and go into it. I challenge you to drop that thought and just go into it with open mind and open heart, because like if you go into it, I'll take it upon myself. I'm stubborn. I know I am. I'm wired like a true sales guy, and I thrive on the art of the deal. But that's not helping me successfully grow the company by itself. So I had to actually learn to be humble. And sales guys, they don't like to hear a no. So when I had to hear no a lot, I had to like sit with that for a while. So a lot of reflection, a lot of humble, a lot of field time in position. But I do think that if you're willing to just be humble and go into it open-minded, you're going to learn a lot and walk out with something really spectacular. And it's going to align you to where you really want to go.
My turn.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to read my statement because it sums it up and it says it better than my
Beautiful.
brain will. And that is, TrueSpace became the blueprint to be great, where Colorado companies to watch credentials allowed me to be heard, collectively unlocking institutional confidence. And I really do mean the words institutional confidence. I'm super confident about what we do, how we do it, why we do it, who we do it for. So institutional confidence that has allowed us at Menu Trimfo to scale faster than any others in our space. And from a personal note, I wrote a book called Unstoppable. I think you might already understand why. My signature at the end of my email is Stay Unstoppable. So if you're in the hallway and the light at the end of the tunnel feels like a train, I promise you it's not. It is a way out, but stay unstoppable is what I always tell folks.
Beautiful. See, I told you it's badass. Right. Let's take some questions from the audience. You guys are open to that. So, what questions do you have for our panelists? All four of them.
We do have a rule here. You can't leave unless you ask 3 questions.
Yeah. That's why Steve's standing in the back to make sure nobody leaves without asking a question.
I'll get this out here. I mean, I just need somebody to look inquisitive.
Kick us off.
You get to know me now.
Let's see, I guess, what would be the most difficult challenges you faced as new business owners within the last year or so?
Last year?
Go ahead.
I don't have any.
It can be lifetime, but it can be lifetime.
I don't have many challenges in the last year. I can't think of many in the last. I've been blessed and highly favored. I'm a woman that was supposed to be dead. And during the business, I went through stem cell transplant with Walden and a cue ball. I wake up every day and go, at least I'm not dead. And when that is your bar, you can do anything. So no, I've had no tough challenges in the last year, just opportunities to try to be kind and keep going. And I know that sounds really hokey, but it really is true. Do you have a
Yeah, I think, I mean, glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
It's not a magic wand. And sometimes you think, if I do this, this is what's going to happen. Cause and effect. It doesn't work. And I think we know that just in life in general. You have to try things 3 times, 10 times to finally get it. And then you get it, and then you forget about it. So that's been kind of my year, is I learn it, and then I forget it, and I come back to it, and I'm on my way some time. I beat myself up a lot. And if you don't actually, I like to use the word now, you win or you learn. You don't lose anything. So, when you make a mistake, you learn from it and you get better the next time. So I think that's been the best thing that I've kind of walked away with in terms of my challenges, is that I actually want to embrace them so that I can get better for the next day.
So you said the average time is about 3 years as far as a business staying with you. Why is that? Why do people leave?
It's just so good, I'm hooked on it.
Well, no, why do people leave? If 3 years, why not 4?
We've only been measuring it for about 4.2 years, so
Okay.
we don't know. The
That's a
retention's
good
been
answer.
good. Some people leave because they don't want to do the work, because they don't get the results. I mean, any program's going to have a drop off of that kind. We've got some great exits.
Okay.
So, especially when I think about the industry connection, we've had, I think, 4 out of the 12 companies that started coming through, 4 have already exited. So that's one of our hopes too, is we get you to a place where you can monetize the growth that you have. And that's kind of important for a second stage company that doesn't have potentially that avenue today. And it's not for everybody. I mean, it really isn't. I think that's maybe my reality. When Jamie and Tanner and I built this business this way, any program like this, you got to find the right people at the right time. They've got to want to do the work. Other places we've suffered from as TrueSpace is that when you have it all figured out and you're not willing to change, this isn't going to help you at all. It's just going to frustrate you. And that's our reality. Or if we catch companies too early, they haven't really taken a product or a service to market yet. It's too early for our program. So that's what we're looking at. I hope that we can retain people. It's only a few $100 a month, so it's not like it's going to kill your business. Designed that way. So part of it is just, if you really want to see the change, you have to come in and make the changes.
But hypothetically, it is something you could use to kind of keep you on track, keep you guided, and it's not like after the first 3 years, oh, I'm on track, I'm good to go. You can continue it.
Yeah, to give you a great example, I mean, that's the aggregate of 406 companies that are in our database in our platform today. Of the people that joined us in the summer of 2020, we were one of those people. I think they're all still with us. With the exception of Epic River that did an exit. So we have good retention. I think the program speaks for itself. I think it builds on it. You can build some confidence. So anyway, but yeah, I think we've got some things we still have to improve ourselves as well.
We talked a little bit about Trudy and how she helps them stay engaged long term.
Yeah, I built these businesses in my life, 44 years of it. We got really lucky with AI. We were way out in front of it. With Gallups' help, we were doing machine learning before everybody thought it was sexy to call an LLM AI. So we have our own agent. We're not just using AI, it's driving models. So that big book there is part of our large language model. Every business that joins TrueSpace adds more knowledge to Trudy. And our architect is in over here, he's getting her smarter every single day. So what that helps us do is that you can literally go in on a daily basis into our platform now and start doing some what-if work that we weren't able to do before, which is a real retention program for us. Trudy gets so smart about your business. She builds the agendas for your next team meeting based on your last 3 team meetings, plus your financial information, plus all that systems information, and just makes you as a CEO that much more effective and smarter. And that's what we really want. And then you can prepare with Trudy for quarterly meetings, board updates with this discrete, acute information about your business, not these generalizations we get from ChatGPT. So we got lucky. I've been lucky with every one of my businesses, and I was wondering when luck was going to come our way with TrueSpace, because COVID was such a hangover, and this was it. So we got really lucky. So.
Any more questions? Yeah. Here and now come to you.
Thank you for breaking the ice, by the way. I appreciate it.
Thank you for all that you've shared so far. I'm Maggie Drucker. I am the nonprofit board chair for Colorado Companies to Watch, and I'm CEO for Prosper Bridge, which is in its 4th year. So thank you all for sharing where you've been. My question is, what's your format like? Is it consultative with the individual company? Do companies come together and learn from each other?
Yeah, let me speak to that specifically because it's been an evolution. We, TrueSpace, had to figure out our business model as well. And probably the greatest limiter to our growth was having a consultant do our program, because you're only as good as the person that is facilitating the program. So we decided to literally get into a place where today our agent can actually do the consulting for you with no opinion and no judgment. However, you can join a group of people that are doing it along with you. So, because we think that's the socialization of that in the community is a super important thing. And we help facilitate that. We don't facilitate, we just help get you into those programs. Next week is a great example of this. Make It Better Every Day is called Live. It's a catering food service group run by Footer's Catering, Anthony Lovatos, for those of you that know. They joined individually, a bunch of founders and CEOs in TrueSpace, and they all got together and formed a cohort, and they run their own cohort. Michael's really good at putting this together, but we as a company don't do that. So the community of Colorado Companies to Watch through CCTW will probably lean on you to do that work, where we'll keep it really pure and clean with our agent and the data. So we're not a consulting company. I'm not smart enough to advise your business, but the data and the agent are. So what I add to that, Michael?
So I currently run a monthly kind of cohort meeting, I call it, for the community. And so we average about 40 businesses from all, either they're coming from businesses that I recruited personally into it or just been part of our network for a amount of time. And it's the same what Charles kind of mentioned. I guide them through kind of a practice, I say, to lean into each other and identify pain points that they're experiencing and how they can help each other solve those pain points. So they seem to like that piece of community quite a bit. Yeah.
I was just going to throw in one piece on that, just being from my own experience. I came in with an advisor coach from an incubator, and I was also doing the work in real time with the companies. And then I got into a group, and then I got into the portal. So it was almost a mass overload. And so you're going to kind of find what your best fit is actually after a while. It's really great when you can actually be around peer networking as well, and if these groups come together, because you can share different problems or different journeys with other people where they're at. And you get guidance between each other, and you see that organically grow. This is the framework. This is going to kind of give you the roadmap, but the peer-to-peer networking is really good. And then the application. I mean, I would be sitting with clients going, oh, this isn't aligned with my business. You don't exist for me. You're not a high-value client. I got to move on. You know, so it's actually great when you actually start seeing that in real time. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
That's great. Yeah.
I wanted to just.
We're going to get to you, Kristen, I promise.
Sorry, one other thing. The Colorado Companies to Watch, because our headquarters moved to Maryland, we still have a satellite office in Fort Collins, and some of my leadership team members have been attending the events up there. So getting them connected in without needing me as the CEO to hold their hand to walk them into those kind of events to network and be connected has been quite helpful. So I just thought I'd put a plug in for the Northern Colorado folks that are. Thank you.
Another Northern Colorado winter back there. All right, Kristen, you're up.
So I was just curious if there are any industries that you tend to focus on or tend to be a better fit for.
Yeah, so the question just for the rest of the audience was, is there an industry focus or do certain industries perform better than others? So Charles has lots of insight on this.
Yeah, it's a great question. We went into the research thinking that we would identify like the one or two industries that are going to be most suited for our work. And we quickly found from, if you just look at pure data, for businesses that have less than 20 million in revenues, which is the represented base in many cases for Colorado Companies to Watch the second stage, industry has no statistical determination of growth. When you get bigger, it really does. When you get to be a big business, the adjacencies and competitive nature, models, cost of capital, all those things get really acute. But when we're smaller, it's the business model that actually determines our growth, not the industry. So you could have literally a healthcare tech business right next to a light manufacturer that are less than 20 million, and it's the models they created from a business modeling perspective that determine growth. So specifically, about 8 out of 10, 82% of the businesses that have a customer that's another business, and they have some projection of future revenues. It could be recurring, it could be referral. Those are the business models that work the best to get past 10 million, to get into the middle markets, without a doubt. That's the 80%. The lower end of all of that is direct to consumer. We've had a number of direct to consumer businesses in TrueSpace, and they suffer from how long it takes for adoption of a product with a consumer, the fickle nature of our consumer, and how much capital it takes to get from point A to point B. Light manufacturing CPG that is using a distributor to get to a consumer is about 8% of our total model. It's also a pretty good model. It's an easy way to test the product and service. It's got less risk, takes less capital. And then the last model we have is direct to government, which has grown significantly since 2019. So it's model. Just to answer your question, it's model that you're building, the financial model, has a deeper, significant impact on your business than the industry you're serving. So, with the exception of the consumer, which you gotta have a lot of courage to go do that.
All right, maybe time for one more final question. All right, well, last demand is that you have to make sure you stop and eat some snacks. And we'd love to have you hang out and keep networking with Doug. Thank you to our panelists.